hand, and then respond, "I do," if you agree with the statement. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of school board member at Montague Area Public Schools according to the best of your ability?
I do.
All right, welcome.
Thank you.
He's official.
Welcome, Ben.
Bringing in your afterwards.
Yeah. Item 4 on the agenda is roll call.
Dahl. Here. Francis. Here. Ref.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Newbar. Here. Fulmer. Here. Rupert.
Here.
Everyone's here.
Awesome. Item 5 on the agenda is approval of agenda. The selected or suggested motion is to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support by Amanda, support by Joel. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6 on the agenda is the consent agenda. The suggested motion is to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
Amanda and Joel, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7 on the agenda is the public comment portion of the meeting. Public comments will be accepted at this time. Each statement will be limited to 5 minutes in duration. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board welcomes public comment but does not respond to citizens' concerns at its meetings. At the citizens' request and the board's direction, the superintendent or designee will respond in a timely manner. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Is there anybody on the list? Anybody have a public comment at this time? All right. Item 8 on the agenda is reports.
All right, let's begin. School is back in session with our principal meaningful minutes. We will be doing something a little bit different. Coming up in October, we'll be showcasing a staff member, but for this meeting, they're going to just kind of kick it off with their principal meaningful minute and talk around some things that are taking place in the schools right now. So,
All right, I think I can do it without the cane. So excuse the informal, but the teachers had wear your favorite college sweatshirt, so go Huskers. Two games in a row now. We had a great start to the school year this year. We kicked off with a very successful open house. We are only missing a handful of students. It's really nice because we give out a folder and then we can figure out who was there and who was not, and then we can touch base with them before school actually starts. But on the first day of school, we welcomed 418 new students to RO, along with 6 new teachers, and then 4 new LREAs. So we have, you know what they say, one new person is a new team. So we're bringing all of those folks on board and onboarding them as best we can in all areas. These first couple of weeks, you know, at the elementary level, we're reviewing a lot of expectations and practicing those. So that's been happening and is very successful. Just to back it up a little bit, during our back to school PD, we had our committees that met, followed up from our district continuous improvement team. And our 4 teams are our leadership team for literacy, our academic, which is the multi-tiered systems of support. And then we have a culture, climate, and community committee, as well as our positive behavior support. So they're up and running and already making plans, and our next meeting will be in early October. Another new program we have at RO this year is Communities in Schools. You may have heard a little bit about it. We have a student support coordinator. Her name is Christy Weingarten. And if you're not familiar with CIS, it basically surrounds students with community supports, empowering them to stay in school and really to be successful in life. So right now, Christy is conducting surveys of both parents and staff, and then she'll take that information and determine where the best, it's basically a needs assessment, and she'll look to see where she can best serve our students. Last but not least, you know I'm going to talk about English language arts and bookworms. We are up and running. We asked teachers to start the second day of school, the first full day of school, which they did. Third grade, we waited a couple of days because they're not used to switching classes, and so we wanted the students to get acclimated to that. But all of our materials are pretty much accounted for. We're just wrapping up the 35J grant. If you could have been at RRO this summer, you would have seen 6 pallets of books, 5 boxes high and 5 wide. And you know, I love books, but it's overwhelming. But we are just so fortunate to have all these wonderful materials, and I just don't know that we would have been able to do this without the grant, so I'm so grateful. But we're going to continue to follow the bookworms protocols, which is 3 45-minute blocks. One is shared reading, one is the English language arts, which is a lot of writing and grammar, and then the third one is the differentiated instruction. And this year, even though we're going to focus on one area, we will be doing all 3, but our focus area this year will be shared reading. We want to really get that down pat and then set goals within that area. So great start, and thanks again for all your support.
I'll go next. I too. And it's Michigan because all my money goes to Michigan. My children go there, so that's, wear a sweatshirt. So I'm pretty excited this year. So we had about 119 kindergartners and young fivers. So we are up 30 students from last year. So it's a busy little place this year. We have a new teacher, Claudia Rumsey, who was Mrs. Verner's student when she was in kindergarten, so that's pretty fun. We have another bilingual LRE aide that we just hired, and we have a new behavior support specialist also at the MAC, which is really exciting. And so we spent a lot of time on expectations and routines. And I think we got to the lunch line down, the tray slide on down. We're just about done with that. I'm grateful to all the parents because our drop-off in the morning is working really well now, and kids are coming in, and it's just starting to run really smoothly. You never know at the beginning of the year, we forget like how much we're like, ah! But now we're kind of sliding into it, so we're pretty excited. It's going well. Dibbles testing starts this week at all the buildings, K-5, so we'll be starting that. Bookworms, the same thing Sandy said, we're also doing bookworms at the MAC. I'm going to talk about math a minute because I do. The coaches, the math coach from the ISD is going to come and visit us. She starts this week just to kind of go over the new revisions. We went to version 3 of our math program, so she'll be in to kind of guide us. We're going to make some goals, do some goal setting. And we had our ELL audit from 8 to 10 last Friday. And we had multiple staff members throughout the district that participated and had to answer questions. So I'm very grateful to them for taking the time to answer the questions. And they also really represented us with pride. I mean, we didn't have any findings. We just had some ideas for tightening up some of our protocols. So it actually went really well.
Question, ELL.
Oh, sorry, English language learners. It was part of the Title III, so the federal programming, Title III. And then, of course, Spook Leave is our trip at the end of the month, so that's the highlight of September.
All right, I'll go next. At the high school, I'll just say the same thing, broken record, great start to the school year. We keep knocking on wood because the freshman class is great. Like they know where they're going, they can open their lockers, they're calm and quiet. So it's really been a great start to this school year. We're sitting around 415 students right now, so that's pretty good as well. We had first day of school assemblies. We started in the auditorium, reviewed expectations, went over a bunch of things together, and then we ended the day in the gym with our typical fight song competition. Each grade level had to come up with a grade level cheer. Of course, the seniors won, but we had a good time that day. New staff, we have Phil Copes, who's our, we're going to call him our strength teacher. We've changed our classes, our PE classes. They're called Fit and Strength and Fit and Well. He is on board using the new weight room. Kids are really excited to be over there. Mr. Wood, we were able to find a Spanish teacher, which we've been looking for a while. So We're glad to have him aboard. And then Mrs. Kylie, you might hear a little bit about her as we move through this year. She is called our student support counselor, and she is already hitting the ground running. She's connecting with kids. She's helping them when they're upset, reaching out to agencies. She's just going to be a really valuable player for us in our team here. We had an extracurricular assembly last Friday where we had all of the staff members who run an extracurricular club organization created a slide. Most of them had kids come up and present about those extracurriculars so everybody knows what they can do. There is a tab on our website if you want to see that as well, just explaining what our extracurriculars are. Miss Phipps is now, she's our 9th grade English teacher. She also teaches one section of 11th grade. She's been here a long time, and she, over the summer, over the course of the last year actually, has been certified in yoga and wellness. So she's going to be working with our students during seminar on a rotational basis, just on some of our SELs, but she's also going to be starting a yoga club. And she already has about a dozen kids signed up, and she didn't even have a sign-up sheet ready. So that's exciting. She did a yoga session with the marching band on the last day of band camp. She's going to do one with the cheerleaders next week. So kids are excited about that as well. We have 4 exchange students, 1 from Germany, 3 from Spain. We also had, when our juniors took the SAT last year, they are eligible for some national recognition, they just kind of fall into different areas. And we had 11 juniors eligible for national recognition, and 5 of them have been awarded, which basically means that those kids have gone in and accepted that recognition. So we have to get on the other 6. But that was exciting to have 11 of those juniors qualify. Upcoming dates. The volleyball team is doing something new this year. They're having a teal out. It's on Thursday, and it is to benefit ovarian cancer. And they sold t-shirts for that. But come on out if you have nothing to do that evening and support our team in their efforts to raise money. Next Tuesday, the soccer team is doing a teacher appreciation game. The girls did one in the spring. It's really cool. They invited a teacher who impacted them throughout their school career to be their special guest that night. Jim and I get to bring the game balls out to the center of the field. So that's a good time. And then, of course, our Wildcat Salute, Mrs. Wood is organizing that. And every year she wants it to be bigger and better. So on the 26th, the hour before the football game, that will be our Wildcat Salute. There will be lots of presentations and interactive displays and things like that. So make sure you're there for that.
I love your thoughtful Thursdays too.
Oh, thanks.
Those are fun to watch.
They're fun to make.
All right, at the middle school, so we've started the year back. Everybody is excited. Lots of excitement from both staff and students. We have roughly 315 kids in the middle school this year, so we're up a few. Couple of updates. We've had teachers in all summer long. I should say through the month of August, we're doing updates on curriculum in all of our content areas. So I was really excited that they were able and willing to come in and put that work in before the school year started. We have a couple of new classes that we're offering this year. We have a design thinking class that Kara Creasel is going to be teaching as an elective for our 7th grade students. And so that came out of the design challenge that she did with that group and brought to Grand Rapids last year. The kids really enjoyed that. So that's now an elective. So that group will get to go to that design challenge. It's an annual event now. It was very successful last year. So there will be a number of schools in Muskegon County taking part of that, but it'll be a part of that class. Lots of other cool things going on as we're trying to connect with the community for some projects, so thanks to Kara for taking that on. We also started a media tech class this year as well, so Alex Hoffman is teaching that. So everything from creating some social media posts to creating some videos and thinking about the message and the purpose of what you're doing behind those things. And more than just making a little fun dancing TikTok thing, we're trying to decide what is the message you want want to send with this, and how do you tell
This is
that
mandated
story?
for all of middle school kids.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah. So then to think about how you tell that story to get your message across. How do you? That's different than just making a fun video that you put out with your friends. So thanks to Alex for taking that on. That is not something he has a degree in, but it's just something he's willing to learn and get involved with the tech side. So I appreciate that. Our robotics team is getting started this week, so they're going to do First Tech Challenge this year. We did the kickoff event on Saturday with the team. They got a tough challenge this year. They got a little 5 centimeter. They look like kind of wiffle balls, and they have to move around and shoot them into a goal that's 3 feet off the ground. So they have to be able to launch. Then they come down into a little holding pen. They got to release them, be able to recollect them, and shoot back up. So a lot they'll have to do with their robots. So that'll start Tuesday, and they are excited to go there. We also have football, cross country, volleyball. They're all underway. Their seasons have already started. Games are going. So we have a lot going on after school every single day. We had a group of staff members who also went to a training in June with Safe and Civil Schools. There was representation from every building around increasing attendance. So at the middle school, we started a little slogan that every Wildcat, every day, attendance matters. So we're doing things to try and get kids to show up to school every day. And then there's processes that were part of that training. And so when kids have barriers to show up to school, what can we do? So they give some practical things with that. So we're starting to work on those things, along with some incentives for kids that are there. So we're going to start pulling each month drawings for all the kids who have perfect attendance. We'll just draw a few kids out; they'll get something, and then we're gonna start randomly picking a class a week. And if everybody in that hour is there, then that class gets a little something. So we're gonna just try a little bit of that, see what we can do around attendance, and trying to get how important it is that you're there every single day. And then we do have all of our committees are up and running again across the district. That MTSS, or the multi-tiered systems of support, was an area that was picked by our district team for all of us to work on. So our professional development is going to be all around how we're going to start with that process. It's a very big system. If you guys would like to learn more about it, we can talk hours about this system if you would like. I don't know that you want all the nitty gritty, but I'm happy to share any of those parts for any of you that would like more information. I'd be happy to talk to you a little bit more about it. But we'll start to get into one focus, and that's talking about kind of our base level tier 1 instruction. What does every kid get, and how do we begin to systematize that in a very cohesive way? So if there are struggles, we know it's not about what's going on in the classroom, it's other things going on. We can better plan for interventions.
What did you call it?
Multi-tiered systems of support, MTSS. Yep, lots of acronyms. We love our acronyms.
All right, thank you to all our principals and their work with the staff. Moving on to superintendent comments and winter reports. As you can see, there were some additional new hires within the support staff roles. Madison Bayline, cook aide at the MAC. Coming back to the Montague High, North Mesquite grad. She also helps out with our JV softball team. Heidi Munoz is an LRE aide at RRO, Grand Rapids Community College grad with early childhood development. We have Nicole Noel, who has been with us but is moving from the sub status to a full-time status. And then Pam Weesey's cook aide at the high school, is a Whitehall High School graduate and has some experience at New York Christian as an aide. Other superintendent comments, as you've heard from a number of those individuals, our counts do look to be up from where we predicted, so that's a good thing, at least above budget. Looking from last year at this time of this year, it'll be close, but yet as budgeted, we're looking to be well over 40 students above budget. So that'll be help. I don't know what that would mean because we don't have a budget. We'll get to it shortly, but that is a bonus for us across the district.
What was our per student amount last year?
Per the dollars?
Per pupil, yeah.
Per pupil,
9,608.
608.
So 40 would be significant. We just went on that. You gotta assume that's gonna go up.
We budgeted for 10,000 per
Yeah.
student.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we got that.
Fingers crossed. Summer feeding, I do have something that I'd like to share from Mr. Gorman, and this is summer food service spotlights. This past summer, our amazing food service team hit the ground running and did not stop until the Monday after school ended, it started the Monday after school ended and did not stop until last Friday. They had over 51,679 meals served, 3,673 gallons of milk, 7,456 pounds of local produce from West Michigan farms. Our staff literally moved mountains of food because our service was in Rockberry. They transported over 54,000 pounds of food, lifting and shifting it up to 3 times each trip. That's a grand total of 162,000 pounds carried by hand this summer. Shout out of the summer, a huge thanks to Alicia Freeman, who handled the transportation for both Montague and North Muskegon's food service during the summer. Thanks to our hard work and combined efforts, helped serve 101,472 meals between the 2 districts, which Mr. Gorman is also the food service director in North Muskegon as well, to kids across their communities. It fuels this food, it fuels learning, growth, and thriving. Please join me in celebrating the incredible heart and hustle of our food service staff. So that was Mr. Gorman. And kudos to all our food service workers that did help in that process over the summer. Last thing I have is just a legislative update. Not really much to tell you, although they're starting to meet a little bit around some budgets and what that might look like. I think they're still waiting for the other individual to say first so that they can use that in a political ramification at the next year's election. But I think you're going to see some more information coming out from school districts across the state, just warning of the possibilities of shutdowns and what that could mean, or what some of the conversations that are taking place, how that could be affecting schools. And I think the big thing is that the fiscal year begins October 1st, and that's coming soon. And if that budget doesn't come through, there's only a certain period of time schools can operate. And it depends on the school. Some might be a week, some might be a month or a little after. So that is something that we need to start thinking about or looking at. Obviously, we do our best to keep kids in school. I think that that's an important part, but we'll see. There's still some time, but there seems to be a big opposition as to where these budgets are currently at.
Jeff, how long would we be able to run?
Stacy, we just looked it up.
Yeah, we can get through the second payroll in November.
Okay, and that's based on fund balance, or?
Yep.
Yes.
We're fortunate to have a nice fund balance.
Yeah.
Obviously, once something is then established, it would hopefully work its way back, those dollars.
Hopefully.
There's plenty of proposals out right now to shift existing expenditures from the general fund into the school aid fund and to increase the school district's retirement liabilities. So there's a number of different, like I said, proposals. So proposals divert almost $2 billion from the K-12 school aid fund to pay for roads and universities, which is something that obviously in the K-12 world we're not really looking to do in a shell game. So there's still lots to be done, and I think that's the concern as to why there could be an October 1 shutdown. There's also the federal ramifications that are in the same boat, and so we could see shutdowns on both sides, both at the federal and the state level. So I have a ton of information, and I'm going to share a new document I got today, but just know that school districts are going to be working, usually with their ISDs or from the state level, to start sharing some more of that information as to what's taking place and what shutdowns look like, or where, some of the more detail around the retirement components that they're looking to possibly change that they've done in the past, but maybe moving it back. And it can become very complicated, and I don't want to bore you with all that, but if you have more questions, please feel free to ask me on that as well. And that is it for superintendent comments.
All right. Item 9 on the agenda is new business. 9A is consideration of approval of upgrading the fire protection systems for RRO Elementary, NBC Middle School, and Montague High School with funds from the sinking fund. the suggested motion to approve the bid for the upgrade of the fire protection system at RRO Elementary, NBC Middle School, and Montague High School in the amount of $509,440.81 from Johnson Controls with funds from the sinking fund.
So moved.
Moved by Joel,
Support.
support by Karen. Any discussion?
All right, you see the dollar amount of $509,440.81. That would be RO, NBC, and Montague High School. Obviously based upon RO at $110,000, $165 at the middle school, and $233 at the high school. For this project, the RP, we are using Sourcewell, which is a cooperative purchasing program that meets all the state bidding requirements. Johnson Controls was awarded that Sourcewell contract for this project. And you can see that the documentation shared with you in your board folder, all the details, their contract, what that looks like. Johnson Controls competitively bids the job to ensure we're receiving the best price from their subcontractors and fall at or below the labor amounts approved in the Sourcewell contract. We currently have approximately $615,000 in our sinking fund. We're expecting an additional $150,000 this fall from the summer tax collection, and an additional $250,000 this winter, spring from the winter tax collection. We have enough money in the sinking fund to pay for this project as well as the middle school roof replacement that we'll talk about shortly in our next component as well.
Any additional discussion or questions? I just have one. When you use Sourcewell, how do they tie in local businesses to be able to bid on that?
Sourcewell does not, Johnson Controls does.
Okay.
So Johnson Controls is awarded from Sourcewell
As like a manager of the contract, and then Johnson Controls goes out and
goes
subs
out
the.
and make sure
Okay.
that they get the lowest prices.
Cool. All right, any additional questions? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B is consideration of approval of replacement of the middle school gymnasium roof with funds from the sinking fund. Suggested motion to approve the bid for the replacement of the middle school gymnasium roof in the amount of $84,884 from Arrow Roofing and Supply with funds from the sinking fund.
Support.
Okay, any discussion?
All right, so on Friday, we had the bid opening at 3 p.m. For this middle school roof repair. Arrow Roofing did win. It was the $82,000 bid with an additional pad rental, which was to make sure that the outer area, the basketball little court area behind the middle school would be damaged, or sidewalks or some of those would be the additional dollars attached to that. But still bring it in as the lowest bid. They are deemed to be a reputable company within the area that Tom Segerquist feels comfortable with. We did work with the guy from Master Tech Roof Management that helped in putting in the RFP. We shared the bids with him as far as making sure that it was good and updated as well. He did speak with Arrow Roofing early in the morning. We got the specifications. They confirmed the job will be completed within 3 working days, including edge metal installation and full cleanup, weather permitting, of course. We considered the additional costs. He recommended the additional cost of the large protective pads. The concrete area where the crane will be set up is aged, and these pads will help prevent any further crack or damage. And he thought that this was a good bid.
Any additional discussion or comments?
Have we used them before? Have we
Um,
used any of these people that bid? Have we have a standard contract?
I know Arrow is utilized a lot in Fruitport, is how, from Tom's conversation. I don't know, Stacy, do you know of the names? I feel like there was one that we have used, but it's not our regular roofing company that we use.
Okay.
I believe Jay Stevens has done repairs for us.
Jay Stevens.
So, yeah, we're effectively trying somebody based on recommendations, and again, this gentleman through Master Tech vetted that out. and felt
He has
comfortable with
vetted
it.
that out, and then Tom,
Yeah.
through his conversation with the facility directors in Fruitport, said that they were actually good.
This will be done before winter.
Yes, that's why we brought it so quick and trying to get it done.
All right, any additional questions? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9C, consideration of approving Chloe McCollum as the new speech language pathologist. Suggested motion to approve Chloe McCollum as the new speech language pathologist.
Support.
Amanda, support by Cindy.
So we're excited to have Chloe back on the Montague team. She's a Montague High School graduate. She had attended Northern Michigan as well as Grand Valley State University, and then has 2.5 years experience within the Nuevo Risa.
Any additional discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9D, consideration of approving Erica Stein as a new third grade teacher at RRO. Suggested motion to approve Erica Stein as a new third grade teacher at the RRO.
So moved.
Support. Support Karen.
So, late hire with Erica coming in as a third grade teacher. She's a Whitehall High School graduate, as well as a Grand Valley State University graduate. This is her first teaching position. She was full of energy and excited to start her process.
Any additional questions, comments? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9E, consideration of approving the 8th grade out-of-state trip to Chicago. The suggested motion is to approve the 8th grade out-of-state trip to Chicago on May 29th, 2026.
So moved.
Amanda,
Support.
support by Emily. Discussion.
The 8th grade class will travel out of state to Chicago on May 29th. They will visit the Willis Tower, otherwise known as the Sears Tower, the Bean and other famous sites in Chicago, while also having pizza at the famous Giordano's and Medieval Times.
Awesome.
Cost is $235 and includes food and any tickets and the travel associated with that as well.
Yeah.
You're going to both of those? Giordano's and Medieval Times in one day?
You're jealous.
Lunch
Joe.
and dinner. You wanna go?
It's a busy day.
Yeah. Joe's like, I've never been able to make all of that.
I know.
So is this open to all students, or is this the reward one?
That is, well, there is a, as you can see, there was methods of selection. So the student must not have more than 15 minor write-ups throughout the school year, cannot have 4 or more days of after-school detention, and must not have out-of-school suspension.
Okay. Any additional discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 9F, consideration of approving a voting delegate and alternate for the MASB's delegate assembly. The suggested motion, we have to decide who this will be, but to designate as the voting delegate and as the alternate to represent the district at the MASB delegate assembly on Thursday, October 23rd at 7 p.m. at the Grand Traverse Resort and Spa. And I will say, in the past, I've been the primary on this, and I've gone to Lansing a couple times. I am going on an anniversary trip that weekend, and my wife's sitting right over there, so if I don't say that, I will be in big trouble. So
Well, what better place to go than the Grand
yeah,
Traverse?
we are actually headed towards the Traverse City area. We just will not be there for that. I'm just going to say that anyway. I have no problem being the designate, but the alternate will have to go if we assign one. So, Cindy, that was you last year. So.
And that's not gonna be me this year.
Okay.
I've been there, done that. Let's send
Did you go
someone in.
last year and tell us about what,
Yeah, I
what's
mean,
that like? Is it a one night thing? You go up and come back the same
you
day?
can do it however you want to do it. It was in Lansing the last
Couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a few. So I would just drive out there in the afternoon after I got out of work. I'd spend the evening there. They really need you there for a couple of things that they need quorums for to be able to vote on. So I usually would just go for that evening. I'd leave. You get home a little late, right? Because it's an hour and a half. Grand Traverse is going to be a little bit more of a drive. When I look at that, I mean, that's going to be a 3-hour drive to get up there and back. You can stay. I mean, it's a 3 or 4 day thing. So you can go up there and possibly stay. For me, it never really fit in my schedule. So yeah.
But the important one is just the one night.
Just the one night,
Okay.
yep. So you could go up, you probably, I think it starts like 5 o'clock or something like that. Gets over usually, it depends. We had one year where people wanted to be difficult and it went a little bit long. It depends how much people talk and the way they have to run the meeting to have votes and discussions and that kind of stuff. So usually 9:30. So you'd be home midnight, 12:30, unless you want to spend the night. So, yeah. Karen, is that you volunteering?
I'm just trying to see, because I
That's
wouldn't.
great. Karen is the designate.
I can, yeah.
Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, I get out of work early enough on a Thursday, I can make it up there,
All
but I
right.
have to come back that night.
Then we need an alternate. The alternate does not have to go. They can, but they don't have to. So, yeah, anybody interested in being the alternate?
I'll do the alternate this year.
Okay. So I need a motion to designate Karen as the voting delegate and Amanda as the alternate to represent the district at the MASB Delegate Assembly on Thursday, October 23rd at 7 p.m. at the Grand Traverse Resort and Spa.
So moved.
Cindy moved it.
Support.
Who was first? Emily. Any additional discussion or questions?
So, as you heard, this is part of the MASB Fall Leadership Conference, but it is a Thursday, October 23rd meeting. There's some more around 7 p.m., but like you said, it should be done by 9. Last year it was Brett and Cindy, but we now are looking at Karen and Amanda. Sweet.
Any additional discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 9G is second reading adoption of policy 5610. The suggested motion is to approve the second reading and adoption of policy 5610.
So moved.
Amanda and Joel, any discussion?
So, as you may remember, this is the second reading of our summer updates, and it was because we wanted to make an additional change at the first meeting, which then backed it up one meeting, so this would be the second reading where we would need action. This is policy 5610, and on the bottom of page 2 of the policy 5610, under long-term suspension or expulsion, what we did look to change that the superintendent may suspend a student for a period longer than 10 days, which was the previous number of 10 days, but no longer than 35 without board action. The board shall act on any appeals to these decisions, and this was in an effort to make sure that we could get it to the next board meeting. We always know that we would have that within a next, and these would be for our long-term situations where we're looking at a possible expulsion or long-term suspension.
Any additional questions? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 10 is adjournment.
So moved.
Joel. All those in favor, stand up and check your laptop. Meeting is adjourned.